questions that I can know about beforehand?
Oh, we're going right now.
Oh,
we're
okay.
in. Yeah.
Oh,
No,
all
it's
right.
just a casual
All
start.
right, sweet. Okay.
No, I actually didn't prepare any questions.
Okay.
You're kind of unique, I think.
Okay.
And we're gonna see how this goes.
Okay,
Actually.
cool. Yeah. What?
Can you do me a favor? Just try to keep that like a fist away from your mouth. You can pull it
Yeah.
back. You can move it around
Can
so
I
it's
move it
more
or
comfortable.
like
Yeah.
here?
Try
Okay.
to pull it back like a fist away from your mouth. Perfect. You can pull it back too if you want to sit more comfortably.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
The Do Nothing Society.
Mhm.
What is that?
Okay, so I came up with it like a month ago, exactly yesterday. And it's basically like everything that I wanted to do as like a little kid with like other people, so then I can potentially make them feel a little safer around strangers and create a sense of community that doesn't cost anything to them. It costs a little bit to me, but it's honestly not that much.
So, get everybody together to do nothing?
Mm-hmm.
That's the main goal.
Yeah. Yeah. And nothing mostly just defined as like not working, not being productive, not having to like perform as like, even at like a farmer's market, which is like a community setting, you still are kind of expected to be either like a customer or a producer that's like selling something. And I just feel like we're real tired of that in general. And that I don't know, I think I so far, even like within a month, like so many people like reach out to me. Like I've had up like, you're a random
Prime
opportunity.
example, yeah.
For sure. And this girl that runs an art night at the sanctuary that I didn't know about, she's like, you should come to that. And I like got people to go to that too. And there's just been, and then this other woman who does like an eco grief yoga circle. It's actually really cool. I went to one of her sessions because she like reached out, and it was a beautiful thing. Like I don't know. It's just like this has created so many opportunities to get to know community naturally, organically. It's real sweet. So
I gotta apologize. I'm over here sweating like a dog. I always am running around in here like prior to setting up, and the past few times because I know, right? It's been so hot out that running around in here with the door closed does not help my case.
No, it's all good.
That's why we're having the door open today.
I'll be like,
I know. I was realizing this as I was getting prepped for today that I almost need to set up a little something outside so that we could just sit in the sun and do the podcast. That would be the way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, what are you doing, man?
I know, I'm slacking. I'm working on it. It's a work in progress. So you started this a month ago with this concept. It's an interesting concept, the idea of just not being on, not doing anything, just relaxing.
Yeah, and I think also because I've noticed, especially because I've done it a few times now, that there are some people, because I literally just go up to strangers at the park with like a bowl of strawberries, and it's like, hey, do you want a strawberry? Also, like, there's more snacks if you want. You can hang out. Well, no pressure though. Make sure to say no pressure. That there have been some people that are like, oh, maybe next time, or oh, do you have an Instagram? Okay, I'll follow that. But like, I don't want to hang. And then by
stranger danger.
Yeah, stranger danger. But then they see me again, and they're like, okay, maybe. And so there's been a couple people that like have. Just because I've been there a couple times and I guess it seems safer, and also because people are having fun. So it's like what are they doing over there? Like, oh, they're just hanging out. Okay. Like that. It also like the idea is you can hang out for as long as you want and feel comfortable. But if you start to, I'm like getting flustered or whatever, that you can just like retreat to a hammock and like hide behind the walls. So it's like anyone could come, and some people just literally sit there quietly, like they don't
talk to anybody.
They don't talk to anyone. They just hang out and they're just like observing, and then they leave, like, which is what I want. Like I want people to feel, I think especially because there's so many people with like serious social anxiety right now, like debilitatingly so, that it feels like we need something to happen that doesn't feel like you have to pay or perform to participate in. So
did you feel this was a need from COVID, or had you been sitting on this for a while?
I think that COVID made it more extreme in my mind. But I feel like this kind of it's like a general urgency that has been like growing in terms of like it feels like there is like a fracturing in terms of like community in general, like with
our society as a whole.
Yeah.
Just
like,
basically the whole U.S.,
no
the whole
that,
world.
like how many people are talking about like Civil War stuff?
And seriously,
yeah, to the point that I'm kind of scared, and I've met a lot of people that are also kind of scared, and I think part of that comes from literally not knowing your neighbors, not knowing like people in your community, like making so many assumptions about who you're around before ever, like never having talked to them at all. So I want to do something because I'm worried. And yeah, I think COVID just like elevated it beyond, whatever, like made it kind of insane.
Exacerbated everything.
Yeah. But I feel like those things were already happening. Like that none of the we've been suffering for a long time, and COVID made it very apparent, but like it's still been there. And I think also like part of what this project I've like been trying to do more of, I've read about, have you heard of internal family system therapy?
I have not.
So
okay. We're going in.
Yeah, it's very interesting to me. Because it's basically like it tries to explain the like a part of me feels this way, a part of me feels that way. Like the conflicts that happen within a person are explained as like different members of your internal family, like at war with each other. Like they're not able to communicate properly. And like usually it's like protectors and little exiled kids is like the dynamic. Like there's firefighters and managers like trying to control the little kid in you. And the more I've read about that and like sat with that and journaled about it and explored that internally, the more that I've been like, oh, I just need to get to know my little kid version of myself better. And like, what did I want to do? I wanted to walk up to strangers. I wanted to go play with bubbles. I wanted to make art. Like all the silly little kid stuff is like little me that I want to like be able to connect with and like respect their existence still. Like I'm still a little kid. And there's this expression I've always loved. It's like, you're not an adult at all. You're a tall child holding a beer, having a conversation you don't understand. And I really feel that a lot. And so like I brought like face paint and like bubbles and squirt guns and like those big plastic balls that I really always wanted as a kid, but my mom was always like, we don't have money for those. Like, yeah,
the giant inflatable ones?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, fun little ball. And so like just giving people the space and opportunity to play. Like we had a squirt gun fight. We were playing like throw the ball in the air and push it around, and like it was so sweet. And some people have said like, wow, this went by so fast. Like it felt like it was only half an hour, and like they'd been there for like hours. So I don't know. It's like recess, like long recess.
There is that recurring theme, right, of that inner child. And how often do you get to express that as an adult, or as whatever an adult means?
Yeah, I feel like almost zero time.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about it too, like in the way we design spaces. Like in elementary school, you know, there's a playground. In middle school, it kind of phases out, and then by high school, there's nothing. Like there's no.
You get a 20-minute break.
Free play, yeah. And if you want to play, you better be in a sport. You better be following some rules. Like you can't just go like play on monkey bars anymore. And then like it's never socially acceptable after that at all. Ever. Really.
Unless you have a kid. If you have a kid, you kind of get a pass to be a kid.
Go back to it and get all excited about like dolls and stuff. But like if otherwise, like you're weird and not like that's not normal. And I feel like that is a problem. Like the lack of like creative, imaginative play. Like we don't have much of.
I think there's definitely an argument that creativity has been beaten out of most people. I think that is for sure.
Yeah. Totally. What do you think?
Well, I've been struggling. That's interesting you bring up the idea of adults just being children, because I've been struggling with that myself. I've been looking around and you see all these adults, and especially, I don't know how old you are, 20s?
I just turned 30.
Really? Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay. Congratulations.
Yeah, wear sunscreen.
Yeah. I'm 24.
Wow. Okay.
And so I know the mustache kind of throws people off.
Yeah, it does.
At my age, I know, right? At my age, or I guess whatever that means, at this point in my life, I've been looking around at adults and realizing, oh, I'm the adult that I used to look up to as a kid, right? 20s. Mm-hmm. And I don't have shit figured out.
Mm-mm.
And I look around at these people that are in their 30s and their 40s and their 50s. They don't have shit figured out. The difference is they're better at masking it.
Yeah.
They act like they have it figured out.
They're full of it. We're all full of it.
Yeah, if you get them drunk, if you just listen to them long enough, you realize...
Give them a giant set of Jenga. Literally, yeah.
Let them play pool.
Yeah.
They're just children. We're all just children trying to figure out, what do we want from life? How did we fuck up and end up where we are? How do we make things better? How do we keep doing what we're doing because it's great? We all just want that stability, but that's not part of life.
But
and I think as a kid...
It could be. Like,
you think?
I feel like it's like a lack of imagination in general that like makes these roles so rigid. And I think, you know, because it's like there's the, you know, human arc of progress, like the stonk line of progress versus like viewing us as like a web of interactions, and that there's no like right way. There isn't. It's not a line. It's like a web, and like you can be a silly goof. There's no limitation on that, but there's just this like role that we've agreed to play that doesn't include like any of that, but it could. It very easily could.
Why do you think that play was kind of excluded from that dynamic? Is it just because you have to work? That's the goal in life, is you have to get a job?
I think that, yeah, I think for, like, in my understanding of history, I'm not going to claim to be a historian, but...
Oh, you're not?
No,
That's
I'm
gonna
not.
make this podcast
but I
really
did
awkward.
go to school for political science, so I have had to
so you're
deal
close.
with a lot of political history stuff. I think that, like, the obsession with, like, productivity culture and, like, being very efficient, like efficiency, productivity culture, just like stomps out play at like every corner, and like it makes it some sort of like it's sinful, or it's like,
well, if you're
shameful.
Playing, you're not producing.
Yeah,
right. You're not creating.
So you better get back to work.
Yeah,
go on.
We need some money.
Yeah, which is insane because their like productivity is higher than it's ever been in all of human history. Like we make so many things that end up straight to landfills because we just like, have you heard of in the Atacama Desert in Chile? That is where thousands of tons of brand new clothing goes to landfill, like to a landfill there, because we can't sell it. Like, we're making so much that
because we can't sell it. It just goes.
It's
so never
new.
worn.
Never worn. It goes to a dump. So like,
yikes.
We're making too much stuff. Like we could take a nap. Like, go outside and play. Like,
take it. Everybody just take a nap.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know. I've also read that if we were to like reduce hours worked and even like waking hours and just sleep more, then you know that's less energy usage as a society. Like, less energy demand, which I feel like the idea of like perpetual growth and like always squeezing out the last bit of something is dangerous. Obviously, like we're on like climate collapse, ecological collapse territory, which is like, I don't know, terrifying.
It's not comforting.
No. So I'm trying to.
But people hear you say that idea of we need to, take some time, breathe a little, and they go, what? Communist.
Yeah.
Socialist. Do you get a lot of pushback from people like, oh, you're just a kid. You need to get a job. You hippie. Do you ever get that?
The only person I've really had serious pushback from is probably my uncle.
Really? So a family member?
Well, I mean, and not even about this idea, but just in general in terms of like the way that we view the world. And like for the most part, everyone I've talked to on some level, like it's very hard to argue with. I mean, like pretty much everyone my age, even in their 40s, can't afford a house, is like drowning in debt.
Especially now.
School debt. Yeah. For sure. Drowning in debt, can't afford a house, wages are too low. They feel like they're never going to retire. So like they're like most people I've talked to, like actually had a real conversation with, are like, not to say like suicidal, but like kind of like this system is not working for them. And so, yeah, like I haven't experienced like being called like in a derisive way, like you dirty commie or something. So far,
I like how you think dirty in it. That just took it to a next level.
Well, that's the American
you dirty
cultural,
commie. I felt that over here.
Yeah, sorry.
But that's a real stigma, right? Or not even a stigma. That's a real way that people feel when people start talking about sick days, about, oh, we should work less. Let's go to a 4-day work week.
Yeah, I think that, and I obviously have probably some sort of biased sample size, because the people that would probably come hang out
are not those.
Maybe not. But actually, there's people that I wouldn't expect that have come and sat down. A lot of older people won't or haven't. There's only been a few old, like 60s, 70s, even like boomer. There's only been a few that are down to hang. And I think, that it is like a cultural narrative thing that isn't as strong in younger people. Like I gotta work till I die. Like I feel like that's shifting, at least from the people I've talked to. I can't speak for everyone. But I mean, it's like we can see that these are like dead end. Like, you work to what? Like, to what end? You'd never get to stop. You're gonna end up like a Walmart greeter at like 75 because there's no Social Security anymore. Like,
it's a rough way to go.
Yeah. I was driving back up from Southern California to visit my mom, and I stopped at this like Safeway, and in the deli there was this like elderly woman who was like, her hands were like shaking as she's like trying to assemble this sandwich, and like people are like in line like hurrying her up. I was just like, this is like a monumental failing culturally, that this person is still working in like their late 70s, can't even like hold a loaf of bread, and I don't know, this system is not working for a lot of people. And so I'm at this point of just like, what like literally what can I do even in a moment to like make it so then someone can feel like they can stop for even like a couple hours and like just breathe and be like, okay, yeah, I don't have to go back to work right now, or assemble something, or turn my hobby into a monetized Etsy store or something. Like, you don't have to. You can just lay there. It's okay. Just calm down. I don't know. It's been well received so far. So,
what is your age demographic? College kids?
Anyone.
But who predominantly shows up? Because this is a thing in the park, right?
Yeah,
you guys meet at Redwood Park?
Yeah, and see, the thing is, there's probably, people around my age are the ones that see the thing on Instagram and show up. But there have been like some older folks, not a lot, but some that have come and hung out, especially if they have like a little grandkid with them or something. Like a lady yesterday who was an older woman, and she was trying to like entice her little grandkid to like paint, and he did actually. Or he wasn't receptive to any of the snacks or any of the other activities, but he was like down to draw.
I would have been the opposite. I would have just gone to the snacks.
Yeah, well, pick your path.
Yeah,
it's a free time.
So when you say older, 40s?
There's been a few people in their 40s that have come to more than one.
But predominantly younger, 20, 30s.
Yeah, I would say the so far. And I'm trying to figure out like what, because I've dealt with a fair bit of rejection on this idea too, because not everyone that I walk up to at the park is down to come hang out, obviously, because then it would be huge.
What's your spiel? What are you saying? Are you just walking up, hey,
no,
I'm doing this
my
thing?
spiel is an evolving thing. My spiel used to just be like, hey, you want to come hang out? Or like, are you bored? Or like, hey, there's stuff over here. But I found that it's better to offer something, like, and I feel like the bowl of strawberries is like a nice like icebreaker somewhat, of like, here's something that I'm offering you. I'm not trying to sell you a religion or sell you some cult thing. Like, here's like, the world sucks. Here's a strawberry, basically. And most, like, pretty much everyone is like, oh, wow, thanks. That's so nice of you, or something. And then a chunk are down to like, come check it out. A chunk are like, oh, like, I don't know right now, but like, oh, you got an Instagram? Like, that they'll take that path and then
kind of ease into it. Check you out online first.
Yeah, because it's kind of weird, just some strange person walking up to you with a bowl of fruit. Like, that's
not usual.
No, it's not normal. So, yeah.
So you're kind of honing your approach.
Yeah, it's an evolving thing, because and I think also,
I think the food is a good icebreaker.
Yeah, or like Oreos. People really like Oreos. People are children, like, or fruit snacks. People freaking love like the Welch's fruit snacks.
You could kidnap me with a fruit snack.
Yeah,
I would get into it.
We're not like, did not learn the stranger danger thing when it comes to snacks for some reason.
It's just candy.
Yeah,
Candy's a little suspicious, but a fruit roll up.
But yeah, a little bit of fruit snacks. Great. But yeah, it's an evolving thing. I don't know what would work on you if I was like,
if you
hey,
had
dude.
fruit snacks,
yeah,
yeah,
be like,
or fruit
what's
roll
this
up,
about?
I would be, yeah, I'd at least walk over while I'm eating it to check it out, and then I'd see, okay, like what are we doing here?
Sit in the hammock.
But I'm interested. Like if you said you were in a cult, I'd still walk over and just be like, okay, what is this about?
Cult that has free food, though. I don't know.
might have to check it out. I'm not gonna join, but I want to see. I mean, you've got good snacks, so.
Yeah, and there's been like yesterday when I set up, there were a couple of people that were like just sitting near where I was setting up, and I was like, oh hey, like you're welcome to come hang out. And they're like, oh, we can't, we have to go do this thing. But like, dang, I wish this was happening when I was still going to HSU, or like, you know, what the hell? Like I like this idea a lot. Like the people have been very like positive about the idea, even if they're personally feeling kind of like about hanging out, or they're already on a run or whatever. They're like, oh,
they like the concept.
They really like the name too. They're like, I love that.
It's a solid name.
Yeah. It wasn't taken on Instagram, so yeah, or on the website. Made a website.
Oh, you have a website too? Oh,
yeah,
nice.
I made a website for fun because that's what I do for work. So
is programming.
Well, it's just like making websites for local businesses and doing like design work and stuff. So
okay, I
got to do one for myself.
Oh, nice.
Which I've never done before. It was really fun when you just get to be like, derp, derp, like, I'm going to put emojis on it. So, yeah, it's been
I don't
fun.
think I was a CS major, but I don't think I ever made a website that wasn't for a class assignment.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, code this. And I was
make
like,
one for your goofy.
Yeah.
For your podcast. Or
what?
Something.
Did you take any coding classes in college?
I took like a couple web classes. I did a lot of work outside of school, and honestly, like for what most small businesses need, they do not need.
Oh, it's not. You're not working with like JavaScript.
No,
it's not
they
complicated.
Don't need that. They need like
HTML
a WordPress
and CSS.
or
You're good.
A Squarespace or Shopify. Or
is that what
like
you use?
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't code.
Nah.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't.
Okay.
They don't need that. They don't have the money.
Well, today you don't need to know how to do it. You can just use one of those sites.
Yeah. So I'm a builder, but not a code.
You're like an architect. You hire somebody else out to kind of do the hardware.
This stuff already exists. It's like why no one's gonna pay me to
That's a good point.
Do that. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so that's been for fun.
And so that's what you do work-wise. That's how you make your money.
Yeah, but like the bare minimum to
get by.
Yeah.
So are you just getting by with that? You're just getting by.
You mean like
this is just above a minimum wage job? Like it's either do that or do this.
A lot of it is I don't work as much as I could. I've turned down clients because I value my free time more than money. So yeah. There is work out there though there's more than I can do. If that's what you want to do.
Oh, no,
you're like, oh.
No, I'm trying to figure out my own life now. But where I was going with that was how are you hoping to monetize the Do Nothing Society, or this is just a passion project?
No, I don't want to monetize it. I don't even.
But you're investing money into it, right?
Yeah, but it's like a hobby. The only like monetization is like if someone wants to bring something, or if they can't show up and they just want to like. There's a guy I went to high school with who was like, oh, I just love this idea. Like I won't be able to make it to the things, but like, can I just like throw some money at it? And I was like, okay, are you sure? Because like this is I'm not trying to. He gave me like $50 and I bought like Jenga and some squirt guns with it or whatever, and that's okay. But like other than that, I don't really. That's kind of against the point. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm missing an opportunity here, but
no, I don't think you have to monetize everything, especially if it's just a passion project. It's just interesting seeing that in today's world because, like we were talking about, everything has to be monetized today.
Yeah.
So hearing somebody say, "Oh, I'm just doing this
for the hell of it,
just because,
for the sake of itself,"
just because.
I think also because it's like I know right now, just because of my like family situation, and like I grew up really poor, but I'm more comfortable now than I was as a kid. And feeling like I have anything extra right now when I hear friends who like can't buy a car or like are barely able to make rent or whatever, it's like, well, dang, even if I throw like $50 or $100 at like this free thing, that's like it's just more fair because it's like I can, so I'm gonna. It doesn't have to be for now. It's for my benefit again or something. Like I made money off of it. Like that's not really the intent.
So it's like your way of giving back.
Yeah, in like the slightest way. But it's like I don't know where money to charity goes a lot of the times unless it's like to a
Can get a little
local
sketchy.
organization.
It
Like
starts
I've
going
donated to
up.
local orgs, but
yeah. But if you donate to these higher up ones, it's like,
yeah,
am
like
I paying
where
your
does my
salary
Red Cross
or...
money go? I don't know, man. I don't know. So it's like I can literally see the smiling face of this person right now. So that's a success. I feel like. Yeah.
So it's just passion.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea for where you want it to go? Do you want it to be anything more than it is right now?
I want it to be like. I mean, the reason I like called it a society too, not just like a club, is because I want the feeling of you can just be with people for no reason, just because they exist and because you want to learn from them. Like I've learned so much from so many random people that I never would have ever known. Like that like, oh, people can just go up to someone and like start talking to them or can invite them to sit down and share their food, and it doesn't end up in like some sort of terrible like hood video of somebody getting like stabbed or like shot at or something. Like it's just like
World Star
for fun. Yeah, there's no World Star anything. Like it's like bubble gun, you know, like it's disarming. Like I just want us to see that there's like a way, and for myself, like it's like a affirming thing every time I do this, and I'm kind of scared. It's like I don't know, especially because you know men are kind of scary. No offense,
none taken.
but as a lady going up to a strange man is usually not something I want to do. But like having this experience of going up to a bunch of people and them not being scary, them kind of seeming vulnerable and scared of me in a way, has been like helpful for my own mental health in a lot of ways. So yeah, I don't know if that even answered your question.
No, yeah. Were you worried about that aspect of it, right? Because there is stranger danger.
Oh, totally. And like already there's been even just in the first month doing it, I ended up, you know, because I've literally been talking to strangers, I ended up posting a picture of a guy that went, you know, that hung out for a little while, who multiple women said had been a sexual assaulter on Cal Poly Humboldt's campus, and that the school hadn't done anything about it. And even just me like sharing that and being like transparent about it, a couple other people were like, oh my God, like I thought I was going crazy because he's been like stalking me or whatever. So there's that already in like I haven't been able to escape that reality. But the like support and like just choosing to be transparent about it has also been like reassuring in itself, that like now people know that that guy is, you know, kind of dangerous potentially, and what else can you do in this culture? I don't know. Yeah, which that's already been a real drag, but and it's crazy because like he was very nice to me. I didn't know. Yeah.
That's a little sketchy.
But
that's part of the world, right?
Yeah,
it's hard to try to hammer out how you
are. I mean, like the thing, I'm betting as a guy, you probably have heard many women's stories of like assault or
I've heard
abuse
a lot.
or
I've heard a lot.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Cool. But I've heard a lot from.
Yeah, I don't understand how any girl goes out and yeah.
Well, you gotta, otherwise.
I mean, you do, but
like,
it's
hide
definitely
in my home forever just because.
Well, no, but like... it's. I mean, it's a scary. Let me preface it this way. I think it's scary for men and women because men can definitely get fucked up too. But women are just so much more vulnerable. Like that's just the reality of it.
Yeah,
and
I think.
Whenever I see a girl go home with a guy at a bar, I'm like, just rolling the dice. Like I can't believe that people like Tinder. I can't believe Tinder actually works. Because why would you?
Yeah, it's
just
very,
a random person. Yeah,
gamble time. Yeah, and I feel that. I think that what makes me feel safer in this, especially, is, the idea of like coalition building, like that there is power in creating a sense of community, a net of, oh yeah, that's an alarming person. Like we got to be careful, or this person is doing something that's kind of vulnerable. Like. Let's be careful. Like I have had people already be like supportive, men and women, of like, oh, well, if that guy comes around, like I'll say something, or, you know, like that kind of like support.
Like a neighborhood watch.
Yeah, kind of. And and also like my brother, I live with my two brothers, and my brother, who's about my age, has been like super supportive and he's like there most of the time as like a
little buffer.
Yeah, a little bit, because it is very intimidating on some level, just because of the I've been close to people that I've ended up hearing were like abusive or scary, so but that's part of like what I want. I don't want it to be that way, and like
it's hard because there's a reality check at some point, right? Where it comes in like you have to be realistic about what the world is.
But the world doesn't have to be that way forever, and there's like there's a lot of data showing that people who are abusive have been abused in their own past, and like how do we change those cycles so then it's not just the same loop over and over again, I think is part of my hope for the world. Because like what, we're just gonna like lock up everyone forever? Like we already have like the highest prison population in the world by far, so I don't know. It's still it's like a first draft idea though. Like I don't have the solution for the whole world, but I do feel like creating pockets of spaces where we can imagine acting differently, then there's potential there for someone to decide what they like, how they want to interact with people, and to make that be like a thing of choice. Because like when I've been at work, I am not in control of how I get to treat people. Like if someone cusses at you and you're on the clock, like you better behave still. Like you can't like return fire. And these are spaces without agency. And this way it's like, well, you can leave at any time. You can say how you feel. You can do what you want. Like it's a freeing space instead of one with like a boatload of rules, like a workplace or really most places. Yeah.
Well, there are rules in some regards, right? You have to be nice to each other. I can't imagine you'd let somebody out there that's just going
well, I mean,
wild.
if you're being a jerk, you're probably going to be like ignored by people, and that in itself is its own
you don't
check.
get to use the hammocks.
Yeah, well, I mean, you still could, I guess, if you're just sitting in a hammock. It's kind of hard to be a jerk when you're in a hammock. Like
I would imagine.
Yeah, no, it's
hard
just
to be
like
in a bad
lends
mood.
itself to like chilling out a little bit. Like I think it even like one of my buds, I brought hammocks to this like birthday at some Swimmer's Delight or whatever, and they were laying in the hammock for a while, and they were like, this is the safest I've felt since I was in the womb. Like they were just like laying there, and like the sun was glinting through the trees, and it was like a nice little breeze. They were like, this is by far the safest I've ever felt. So it's like, what are you gonna do, like yell at someone when you're laying in a hammock? I've never seen that, not my whole life. I don't know.
Well, like I said, it's an interesting concept, the idea of just unplugging, right? Because that's what we all do when we clock out on Friday night, right? We have Saturday and Sunday.
But then we have these that
nobody actually, there's this idea of
screen to screen
restful relaxation, and that's what most people don't actually get, because we're always connected to something. There's always something to worry about. There's always dishes to be done. There's always groceries to go get.
And a lot of people don't even get to like ignore their emails on the weekend, or there's always some like fire at the workplace they need to deal with. So how much time do you relax? What's your relax?
I don't
life
relax.
Like?
Relax.
No?
I can't relax. Relaxing's kind of a problem for me.
Why?
I can't
What's
ever. You ready for my therapy? I'm gonna recline my chair. We're gonna do my therapy session. I don't know. I haven't really delved into my psyche enough to really have a great answer for that. I think it stems from I was very much ingrained in the world of you have to produce. Like you have to, your worth is tied up to how hard you can work. Work. You're going to shut up and you're going to do your work, and it's going to suck and you're going to hate it, but you get up each day and you go to work.
Do you like that? Do you jive with that? Is that?
I don't know if it's a do you like it kind of question. I think it's a
I feel like
part
why not?
of you. Well, I don't know what it means to.
Does it make you feel good?
Relax. I think I don't relax. I can procrastinate, but I'm so stressed out because I'm procrastinating, then it's not really relaxing.
You can just like drop it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think maybe that's A lot of the guys I've talked to feel that same way, where it's just like the work aspect.
Yeah,
I think it's divided there.
I think there is well, what's interesting too is I think that is true. Well, I think it's true for either gender or whoever you want to be on the spectrum of gender. I think it's true for everyone, but I do think that there is like this level of like your literal worth as a person is tied to your career or your job in a way that I think is kind of especially uniquely male or something from what I've seen in life so far. And it's interesting to me too because there's been a fair bit. It's so weird. So like in the advertising for the little Instagram page, the spread.
That's how I found you. Was your advertising?
Yeah, I threw like $5 at it.
Yeah, but it worked.
I know how to. Well, I know a little bit on that stuff because that's also kind of what I did at work. But the spread, you can see the gender spread. The gender spread on Instagram is like on a lot of the ads like 85% female, 15% male. But in real life, a lot of it ends up being a lot of guys come and hang out and sit in the hammock for a while. And they're just like, they don't leave. Like they just hang out there.
I would not have guessed that.
Yeah. So it's not 50-50 spread online or in person. But then it's kind of like a weird flip. Yeah. I think it does speak to men in a way of like, you know, you can just literally, like, it's right here. Like, you can just sit there. Go ahead. Like, no worries. No requirements of you. You're still worth something when you're in the hammock. Like, it doesn't, your value as a person doesn't leave. But I think that is, like, I don't know. It's a real thing. Because at least, like, with women, I don't know. Well, I think it's another nightmare of then your value is, like, your body or your looks or something is, like, the women's burden to bear. Well, I was just thinking about
that, right? Because women have these other avenues that they can pursue, right? You could have children. You could just travel. Like, your worth isn't inherently tied to what you bring to the table. Whereas I think for most men, it kind of is, that work aspect.
Yeah, like how much you can grind yourself.
Yeah, because if you're a broke guy, life's a little rough. Well, I mean,
it's rough for everybody, but yeah, no, I think that's real. I'm so curious. I want to like pick your brain because like it sounds like you're very much in that right now. Like that is.
Well, I think some of it stems from
the water you swim in.
Yeah, I'm definitely there. I think I've been there for a long time. I think that's just life at this point.
What made you want to like? What made you be like, oh, do nothing society? That's something.
I thought it was interesting.
Okay.
Because
that is the exact opposite.
I thought, yeah, that's kind of what it was. Mm-hmm. Not that harshly, but it's like the antithesis of where I am in my life. Of I'm constantly doing something. If I like take a break, I start spiraling and I lose my shit, and then it's a week.
Yeah. Well, see, that's okay. So I'm curious what start spiraling means to you. Like, where does your brain go? Is it like dark doom thoughts or like self-esteem stuff or like what?
We really are doing a therapy session here, huh?
Well, I mean, I can also
relate to that.
Yeah, no, totally. I think, and that's part of where the urgency to me comes from is like, especially in the past year since I've transitioned more to working for myself or working from home, like, the amount of time I have to myself is so much more. And it's also kind of scary in a way. Like if I'm journaling or I don't know if, psychedelic stuff.
Okay, we're going to talk about, we'll come back to that.
Yeah. That there is something terrifying about sitting with kind of the, like the futility on some level of most of our little human projects and relationships, like that they're all gonna turn to dust in your hands eventually, and the like falling apart feeling that I've had a lot of conversations with people about, like that it feels like in general, whether it's their life is unraveling or culturally, like things seem to be very unstable, like that when you sit with that, there is a terror that comes in, I think, for sure, and that I have felt for sure, and that I think that's an important thing to be able to sit with yourself, kind of like in a meditative kind of way. Like literally just rocking back and forth, like kind of getting taken over with some scary thoughts and then being like, all right, well, like all I got is like literally today, right now. I don't know what 15 years from now holds at all. Not even tomorrow, really. I don't know. Yeah. What do you, yeah.
Well, I'm just actively listening because your perspective, again, is like on that opposite spectrum of mine. You see the futility of life and think, okay, I should enjoy this moment because there might not be another moment.
Yeah.
And I see that and think, I have all this shit I need to get done, so I need to get it done now because I can't leave it half-assed for tomorrow because I might not be here tomorrow. And so it sounds like you, on some level, you struggle with that being alone, just sitting with yourself.
Well, I have, but it's gotten easier the more I've done it. And that's part
and
of why.
And the journaling ties into that.
Yes. Okay. Then that's part of why I feel like compelled to try to create pause time for other people as well. Because it's like, yes, I've sat with the terror and I still have not, like, you know, jumped off a bridge or whatever. Like, they're. And like, the more that I've done that, the more I feel like the kinder of a person I've been, because I feel like, oh, whoa, this is what everyone has to sit with when they actually pause, is like, I'm gonna die and everyone I know is gonna die, and like, oh my god, the world's end. Like that like is there always a little bit, like it doesn't go away. And so like, how do you hold both like joy and grief at the same time without like totally spiraling and losing it? Like, I feel like it's like, you need to practice at it. You need to like take more than a minute of like, oh shoot, can't think about that, gotta get back to work, like that. That intentionally trying to give yourself the space to be afraid, to sit with the negative emotions, then I feel like informs your other moments better. Like, it's more of a balance instead of just like a denial, like, shove that thought down, that's not a good one.
That's another thing that's kind of acutely male in the sense that you gotta push it down.
Yeah. And I've had a lot of conversations with my brothers about like kind of the societal pressure to do that, but that like within our house, you don't have to do that. Like, that's, you can say, I'm scared, or I don't see the point of school, or I'm like overwhelmed, or I hate work, or any of these things. Like, you can just say them and there's no like, oh, you're a dumb piece of, like, there is no consequence to it. It's just like, that's how you feel and that's okay. And then you move through it and then it changes a little bit. But like, being able to sit with it is, and like be supported in that. And I think that's also part of why the eco grief circle that I was invited to was so nice, because people were like sharing scary feelings, like feelings of being overwhelmed, or of like fearing for their children in like climate, like scary stuff. But like, just being able to like say that out loud and be supported and like feel like, oh, whoa, I'm not alone. Like, there are so many other people feeling that same thing. Like, that's how community healing happens, I feel, where it's like, I am not alone in any emotion, like that there are people that feel that too. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. It's interesting. The futility of life leads people to different directions, right? This is an interesting point. Mm-hmm. When I was a kid, I used to stay up crying because I realized my parents were going to die someday.
Yeah. Dude, yeah, the circle my brain has gone to with like psychedelic stuff a lot is fearing for my mom. Because, yeah, I mean, my dad was never really a thing. And my grandparents I was super close to, but my mom is like, I was not very close to her because she was a jerk. But she has changed so much, and she's become someone that I can call at like 3 a.m. with like scared thoughts, or like, worries or whatever, and like be supported in that. And that, like, the idea of losing that is like terrifying.
Daunting.
Yeah, it's truly terrifying. But then it's like, what do you do with that? Do you just
dwell on that?
Or do you try to become like the same kind of? I feel like on some level, my dream is for us all to treat each other like parents and children, kind of, where it's like, I want to feel safe enough with someone that I could share literally anything, and they wouldn't turn away. Like that, because that is like the universal human experience has scary emotions and lovely, joyful ones. But like to deny the fear and the pain is like kind of absurd and makes people feel like they can't share stuff a lot of the time. Like that, do you feel safe to say, hey, actually, I don't like this whole work till I die thing to determine my value? Or maybe you do. I don't know. Maybe you like it, and I'm putting words in your mouth. But like,
do I?
With your parents or something, like.
I'm not afraid to say how I feel. I told my parents I wanted to drop out of college multiple times.
Did you drop
out?
I
did not drop out. I finished it, so
congratulations.
That might say something. But no, I'm not afraid to say how I feel. It's not the working until you die thing is scary when you say it like that, right?
Sorry.
But I think it depends what you're working for. If you're working for passion, I think chasing that passion till you die, even if you don't ever achieve it, I think is fulfilling. But if you're that greeter at Walmart and you hate your life and you're 70 and you've hated your life for the past 50 years working that same job, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
That scares the shit out of me.
And that's, I think, what informs my feelings a lot is I don't know, like I personally don't think a place that makes you want to not exist anymore should exist. Like that, I can't imagine working at Walmart. I know some people that have worked at Walmart and they freaking hated it.
Yeah.
They hated it. And Walmart
But somebody has to do that job, right?
Maybe Walmart shouldn't exist. What's wrong with the corner store? Like
we're going back to the communism.
No,
let's socialize Walmart.
It's not socialized Walmart. It's like if no one went there, then they don't sell anything.
But
if you bought
gotta
everything
get groceries
locally,
somewhere, right?
Yeah,
okay,
you
locally,
go to
I guess.
The Co-op or ENF or somewhere that.
But what if you don't like being the greeter at the co-op?
Well, then maybe it should be a true worker cooperative where they decide their hours or their pay, or there is a worker-owned Humboldt is a thing that's trying to add.
I have not heard about this.
You'd be interested. Probably someone that would be cool to interview would be Morgan March, who I can potentially give you their contact info. But they've worked with the NorCal SBDC through Cooperation Humboldt. Like they got enough support to, like Beck's Bakery is transitioning to a worker-owned cooperative. So, they're trying to help facilitate, making ethical workplaces where if you hate that thing, maybe you don't have to do it, or maybe you're paid more for it because it's the worst job there or something, like with agency and ethics kind of. Because like with Walmart, they don't even give you the same days off every week. Like they stagger
they alternate them?
Yeah.
Oh,
so one week you'd get
that sucks.
Thursday, Friday, and the next week you get Monday, Tuesday, and like that. It's like there's not consistency even in like day shift versus night shift. Like some people have been assigned like right after the other, like back and forth.
Well, that's like how Amazon is, right? Amazon's got slack for that.
Yeah, I got rid of Amazon like 3 years ago.
You don't use Amazon?
No, I deleted my account. It was actually really hard. It was hard to delete my account because they were like, "Are you sure?" It also deletes Audible and like all these other things, and I was like, "I don't care." Yeah, I've lived without it just fine.
If you don't have anything
get it, I don't
to your door.
Buy it. No, I buy online stuff, sure, but I don't.
That's just a social stand?
I just don't feel good about it.
But you have an iPhone. This is where people go, right? You say, I don't like this thing, and then everyone's like, but you're using this.
I am very intelligent. Yeah. Have you seen that meme?
I have not.
No, I'll show it to you later. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's like, yet you participated in this system anyway. It's like, yeah, there's no ethical consumption in this system, so like minimize how you can or create alternative systems. Pick your battles. Yeah. But I just don't like Bezos so much that it's like I'm not gonna.
That was your one. You're like, fuck Amazon. I'm drawing the line right here.
Yeah.
Is it Bezos or is it what Amazon stands for?
Can you imagine working in an Amazon fulfillment center?
I've met people that have.
Do you want to work there?
Doesn't sound great. I don't. I mean, if I needed a
Peeing
job,
a
I would work there, but.
Yeah,
well, that's like the delivery drivers, right?
Last on my list.
Yeah, but if it was that or like clean out B&Bs, I'd be working in that warehouse from sun up to sundown.
Okay,
I mean, it's like a pick your battles thing, right?
Totally, yeah. I think it's very hard to exist in this system. That's part of why I'm just like...
You're checked out.
No, it's not that I'm checked out, but I want spaces where you don't have to exist in it every single moment. Like, you're not on the clock. No one's upset with you. You're not going to lose your house for even a few hours. Like, you can have this thing for free. You can play. Like, that there's no fear there in the same way that there is most of the time, where it's like you literally, there's no, oh, well, yeah, I could go work at the cool worker cooperative instead of the Amazon hellhole. No, like your scenario was the B&B or the fulfillment center. Like those are the two worst options. Yeah. Because like I feel like our imagination of like what is possible is so much under control of like, the corporate vibe. It doesn't have to be that way forever. I don't think it's even sustainable this way for much longer. It doesn't seem like it is. I don't know. How are you doing financially? Super great.
Well, I'm in a garage doing a podcast. I mean, I'm not Jeff Bezos. I'm not there yet.
Yeah, me neither. You never. But, I'm never gonna be. Yeah. Future billionaire.
The thing is. Okay, how do you feel about Elon Musk though? Right, because those are the two
big daddies of the empire,
and they're on opposite ends. In some people's minds, they're on opposite ends.
I feel like they're brothers in terms of.
You're anti-billionaire at the start.
It's just I can't imagine being a billionaire and not giving away an absurd amount of my money.
Then you wouldn't be a billionaire anymore.
Good. Fine. As like people, like there's not a single city in the US right now where there's not like a pretty sizable homeless population. Like that's not an inevitability. Like there are countries where that's not the case, especially like Nordic countries with like housing first policies. Like it's a policy choice that there are this many people suffering. And I think it also is very effective because it's like I don't want to end up like that, so I'm going to grind to the death because I don't want to be dismissed, ignored in a public space and smell like really bad. That's like not, it exists as like you don't want to end up like that guy. Like it's
like heroin, right? You don't want to be the one, sucking dick on the street for heroin.
Yeah, that's part of why I've never tried heroin.
Yeah, right?
ever.
Sometimes the worst of what can happen is a good motivator to go the opposite direction.
Yeah, but it's like, why do we have to be motivated by fear when there have been, that's not an inevitability.
Being homeless.
To have a system where fear is the ultimate motivator. I think fear is actually a very bad motivator. It creates kind of like a panicked, manic populace, which I feel like we are, where like very trigger happy, very like violent, very end up in jail kind of vibe.
You don't think that's just ingrained in humans though?
No, no, I don't. I don't think anything's ingrained. I think it's a matter of choice. Like, okay, I like to think of like bonobos versus like chimpanzees. Have you heard about bonobos?
Yeah, bonobos aren't aggressive, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay. They settle disputes with like sex stuff instead, and they have like female coalitions.
We should say, isn't it sex stuff against like fathers and daughters and brothers and sisters?
I'm not saying we need to be bonobos.
Okay.
I'm just saying
I just had to throw that in there.
The difference between chimp violence and bonobo violence is huge. Like it's massive. And who do we resemble more right now culturally? I would argue chimps. Like with marauding bands of dudes beating other dudes up. Like that like, but that doesn't have to be that way. Like there are very close relatives and there's two different paths right there. Like neither was inevitable. It was like decisions over and over again. And I don't think our violence and fear-mongering culture is inevitable. I think it's like if this system was inevitable, it wouldn't have to be enforced with so much violence, like with so much force, with like police brutality, with you end up in jail if you mess up at all. Like it's not natural either.
Well, none of this is natural, right?
Yeah, so if we're gonna like if we're going to have an unnatural system, why not make it cooler than this one?
Well, I agree with you in the sense that we've got a lot of problems. We have a lot of problems. But I always have to push back because I think we're in the best spot we've ever been in, which is hard for people to grasp because there's still a lot going wrong. But pick another time in history that you would want to be in. I would want to be right now.
I would be down to live in North America like 1,000 years ago or 500 years ago before.
But there's a lot of violence with that.
Not
people,
as much.
Yeah, but that's people getting jacked by animals. Like you've got people going out to hunt and they just never come back.
Yeah,
you've got tribes fighting other tribes, scalping people. Like there's this weird. That's the thing, right? That's what always gets me. Is there's this weird romanticizing effect of people looking back on the past.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to romanticize the past, but I would say that 500 years ago we were not on the brink of ecological collapse. Like,
no, but that's a very different thing, right? That is a choice that is attained to our modern choices. But I think that the violence aspect is something that has been prevalent throughout history, right? We didn't have plastics 500 years ago, which I think we could both agree we probably should have stuck without them.
Oh, yeah, no, plastics were a bad move.
You know not the average, people eat on average a credit card in plastic a week. A credit card size of plastic.
I didn't know that. That is a lot more than I expected.
All the microplastic. Mm-hmm. It adds up to a credit card a week. Tight. Isn't that terrifying?
And you just said we live in the greatest time of all.
But still,
I don't know,
I would choose that over getting jacked by a saber-toothed tiger any day of the week. Give me a little plastic. I'll eat a water bottle right now.
By tigers. Like they.
But we don't know because we're not back. I mean, let's be real though. Life in the caveman era would not. I mean.
I would not have wanted to be a caveman.
Like, there's no consensual sex.
Yeah, I don't want to be a caveman, but I would say that, like, in the same way that I was saying earlier, that there wasn't like a straight line of human progress. It was a web, and that there's this book that I've been reading called The Dawn of Everything, which is by David Graeber and David Wengrow, and they are trying to push against the cultural narrative of human history being this kind of like straight line, and then there were the hunter-gatherers, and there were the farmer guys, and then now there's the industrialist whatever, and like that it's been a very straight line, and they're like, no way. Not even close. Like that it's been more like a web of decisions, and like I said, I would rather have been like in the Wendat tribe 300 years ago than a colonist woman, because like there was way more sexual freedom, there was way more like individual freedoms, there was not this like same level of absurd violence. Like,
but that's not true. Native American tribes were incredibly violent.
Most.
And if you're not the one that's incredibly violent, all it takes is another tribe to come into your area and shit hits the fan.
Yeah, but then you can run. It's fight or flight.
Yeah, but
flight is an option too.
This is the funny thing that I've noticed that happens. Have you ever seen any violence up close and personal?
Like fight? Yeah.
No, I mean like
somebody
get
like shot to death.
Being on the edge. Yeah. Have you ever seen anybody get stabbed or anything like that?
Not in person.
When you see violence, and I've seen violence to an extent. I haven't seen anybody get stabbed. But when you see violence, you realize people are capable of some wild shit.
Yeah, but have you seen a grown man play with some bubbles?
You know what? I have not seen that.
Yeah, I have. People are capable of all things. Like,
I've not seen a grown man play with bubbles.
Yes, infinite potential.
But
I think you got two wolves, man. Which one do you feed?
That's true. Like today. But I think in the past, I don't know why people.
But I feel like that's infantilizing people of the past. They were basically the same as us right now. Like they were as smart.
The world was yes, 100%. I would agree. But the world was different. The world was a much more violent place. There wasn't the security. We have this weird security of society.
Check out that book.
I'm going to read it. The Dawn
of Everything.
I'm absolutely going to read it.
It's really fascinating.
Yeah.
And it pokes at a lot of these narratives about, like pre-humans were these violent monsters. It's about as true as right now. Like, am I a super violent monster? No, I have not even punched someone in my whole life.
But we would agree there are super violent monsters today.
Yeah,
right?
But there are also ways to socially control that better than we do. Like in the book, one of the methods they talked about was, you were talking about violent native tribes or whatever, but like there were in some tribes a method where if someone murdered someone from another tribe, the two tribes would have to get together, and the tribe of the murderer would have to be like, okay, what does this family need to like repair this? We're really fucking sorry. Like, this is not what we want, because this doesn't actually help us very much to have like a constant state of violence. So what do you need? Like that like, let's get together, let's acknowledge this harm, let's acknowledge that this fucking guy did that, and we're not them. We're gonna help. And then that also, like, the social element to me of, I never want to be the guy that is the reason that two tribes have to get together and be like, we're sorry about Jim, he's such an asshole, like he's got one more shot and then he's out of here. Like, that people could remove people from their society, then you're out on your own, and that's real fucking scary. Like, there are ways to, like, in the same way that with my little dirty commie meet in the park time.
I like that you keep going back to this dirty commie.
Well, and they called me a commie.
I called you a commie, but you said dirty commie, and I feel like that just raises the bar a little bit.
With my silly little idea in the park, there has not been someone like stabbing someone to death, because there's like playtime, there's fun, there's like a sense of joy and lightheartedness that I don't feel like really lends itself to someone like stabbing you over the last Capri Sun, like.
Well, I think that's more societal, right? Because I would say that a school doesn't lend itself to somebody shooting someone, but that happens. I think your circumstantial evidence is valid to an extent, but I think that's more societal pressure on these people of, if I go out and hurt people, there's gonna be some consequences. I think that stops most people from falling into that realm.
Another book that I would recommend that I haven't finished yet, it's called Mutual Aid, and it's by Peter Kropotkin. And that book goes into, how you're saying like, oh, violence is a human thing. It also says that mutual aid and cooperation is also a very strong
I would agree.
Human trait.
I don't think it has to be one or the other.
Well, this is the thing, though, is that like, we are a social species, and the best and most competitive social species is the one that can be social the best, that can cooperate the best. Like, we can do amazing things when we cooperate with each other. Like, we can do anything, like literally anything.
Put a man on the moon.
Yeah, like that was a cooperative effort more than anything. And some of our best moments have been when we can like come together for a united purpose. Which, I don't think we have much more time to just screw off with the whole, like, I don't want a World War III, man. Like, I don't have the energy for that. I don't know many people that are, like, down to, like, be in the trenches right now, especially when there's, like, climate issues to deal with and ecological scary times, and, the soil is not healthy. Like, it's a scary time. There's no time to, like, waste with more violence. Like, we've been trying violence for a long time. Why not try something else? Like, isn't that the definition of like insanity or stupidity?
Doing the same thing.
We're gonna do another war.
Yeah.
Like, just like last time, not even 100 years later. It's kind of been done. It's a little tried.
What do you think of Biden sending, what is it, like $50 billion to Ukraine now?
I don't.
He sent more. He sent like another $400 million a couple days ago.
I wish we weren't doing that. That seems like a real waste of time.
It seems escalatory, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If I was fighting somebody and you walked over and gave that guy a gun, I would feel some type of way about that.
Yeah, I'd be like, you're trying to
what are you doing
start
here?
Something, man.
Yeah, you're trying to make this worse.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, what do you think? Do you think?
I think it's a problem. I think that the double-edged sword. Because the only reason Ukraine has not fallen is because we are propping up their military to the tune of tons of billions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And on one hand, I look at that and think, we have all these socioeconomic problems at home that money could solve most of them. Fixing the education system in the inner city, providing resources to teachers, maybe doing something about student debt, but at least altering the dynamic.
Cool.
Healthcare is a huge one, especially since we just came out of a pandemic. That seems like a go-to. Maybe legalizing weed. federally and pulling people that are in jail for life because they had an ounce of weed.
For
maybe get those
crimes,
people. Yeah, maybe get those people out. But we're propping up this war, and we're really the only ones doing it. I get that the UK and some other countries have provided some, but it's not anywhere near the amount that we've provided. It's not even close. And then with, Finland and Sweden wanting to join NATO, seems like that couldn't come at a worse time.
Yeah.
We're pushing against a wall that there's only one way it falls, and it falls on top of us. And that doesn't seem like anything people want, so why do we continue escalating? But then what do you do? That's the argument I always get pushed back with is, what do? Do you just let the Ukrainians die? And I say, well, what about the North Koreans? They shouldn't be under this. What about the Chinese?
Syrians and
what about Yemen?
Yemenis?
Nobody's talking about Yemen.
Starving to death.
That shit is crazy. We're propping up Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
A country Biden said, oh yeah, I want to make them a pariah state, and now he's going to go over to bend the knee to get some Saudi oil because
that's
fucking
like
Russian
where it
thing.
goes.
I mean, what?
It's money. It's not like human rights and beauty and whatever. Like we're the empire with the $800 billion a year military industrial complex.
But it's not.
It's got to go
everybody
somewhere.
Likes to go there. That empire idea. I gotta push back because
Go ahead.
I think most people would agree with you and me right now that what are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
So why are we still doing it?
Because we are a violent empire.
You
got $800 billion worth of stuff. What are you going to do with it? You're just going to sit on it, or are you going to find reasons to use it?
I think
to make even more.
Well, the military-industrial complex, yeah, I think that's
like it's like not even close.
Out.
It's like our spending is more than the top 10 countries combined, and it has been for like years and years.
But I'm a big stick kind of guy. I agree. I think that there's still a value to that.
We've had a big old stick for like decades.
But look
we
at us.
We sit on the biggest nuclear arsenal in
But when was the last
world.
time we had...
Well,
we had 9/11, which is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
But think about... Do you remember when all those terrorist attacks were going on in Paris and in the UK?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, could you imagine if those were happening here? It would be crazy.
They're domestic terrorists. They're white nationalists that are shooting up schools and malls and whatever. Like, we are getting destroyed internally.
I don't think that is... Ooh, where do I want to go with that? That's going to get dicey. I don't think... I'm a believer that is a mental health thing. And I believe that because when you look at most of these kids, first off, most of them are already on the FBI's watch list. And we can talk about how nobody's done anything about that. The Uvalde guy was on everybody's radar. Nobody stopped him. But most of these kids are taking medications. SSRIs,
because
all
they
of these
live
things.
in a sick society.
So why don't we address that? Why don't we figure out why are people going to this dark place and committing these acts of violence?
Desperate.
So how do we solve that? That's what I want to focus on.
Economically desperate. Poverty breeds crime and revolution. That was said over 2,000 years ago.
So why aren't we doing anything about that? Why is everybody talking about guns when people would do this with a knife? I believe that these kids that are doing this would do this with whatever they could get their hands on. I don't know why anybody hasn't started making a bomb because I shouldn't say this. I'm going to get flagged. I'm going to have the FBI visit me now. But it's not that complicated to build these things that hurt a lot more people. But I think the flashy thing now is to get a gun and do it, unfortunately. But
well, they're everywhere. There's more guns than Americans.
Yeah.
So,
but is that a bad thing?
I'm going to go ahead and say, yeah, I think it's not a great thing. I think when you have them just lying around like they're like, I don't know, dog bones on the floor, you can just like, oh, pick one up and like go to the supermarket. Like there's
lying around like dog bones.
I don't know. I just picture like.
Do you know anybody doing that? I'm gonna hang out with that person. No, just has guns lying around like dog bones.
There was an art project done where this guy went and photographed people's arsenals, and you should look up some of the pictures of like entire it's like one family with like 200 guns. They're all over the front deck. They're all over the like roof. There's like little kids just standing next to like a like military level arsenal of weapons for like one family. And people are very proud of them. And they like let this dude go and like take pictures of them posing with their arsenals. I think we have like an obsession with guns in this country. It's not just like, oh, they're just these harmless things we collect. Like people use them.
They're not harmless.
Some guy got shot at like a Subway worker got shot to death for putting too much mayonnaise on someone's sandwich in like Atlanta.
Was that?
It's not a normal thing to happen in a healthy
country. See, that's where everybody likes to. That was like when I said, "Oh, do I want to be cleaning out B&Bs?" Right? Everybody likes to go to these extremes, but what about the woman who stopped her rapist from raping her, or the man who stopped this guy from breaking in and killing his entire family? Right? Nobody likes to look at those.
Yeah,
instances.
I mean those probably exist too.
It's nuanced. Like, they definitely exist. I like to probably.
As a woman, I personally would probably not date a dude that had a bunch of guns because they're most likely to be used against me. The data shows that a woman that dates a guy that has weapons in his home, they're more likely going to be used on them than some theoretical intruder.
I don't know about that, but that's scary if that's true. That should be something that's addressed. But the thing is,
it is true.
That's scary. Well, I know that you're like, statistically, you're more likely to, someone in the household is more likely to die statistically, I believe, by like 10% if there's a gun in the household, which makes sense because we're going in this podcast. Most of the gun deaths are suicide. Vast majority. Which again, should we blame the gun or should we say, why do people feel the need to kill themselves? And you could tie that back into the socioeconomic aspect. Yeah, and life is kind of shitty sometimes.
Life is kind of shitty, I think, for a lot of people right now.
So what you're saying is we should send more money to Ukraine.
No, when the hell did I say that?
Kidding.
I think
but
we
how
should
do we
send
fix
more
that?
money to little kids and like.
So why are we not doing that?
Because our government has been captured by industry. We are an oligarchy, parading as something that it's not.
There's definitely some influence, right? It'd be hard to say that there's not.
Especially since Citizens United, like companies can just throw unlimited dark money.
I don't know.
It was a Supreme Court case that said that money can be considered free speech, and so you can't limit like campaign donations. And so that's part of how like these like super dark money PACs started really like gaining traction since like 2010 was because of that Supreme Court decision. There used to at least be like some control on how much you could just throw at campaigns, but it's like it's out, and now it's just like a free for all where money is speech.
Well, the two-party system is a joke. Right?
Yeah,
it's a joke. I don't think it's ever been more apparent that it's a joke than right now with Roe versus Wade. Because how long did we have to codify that?
People support Roe v. Wade existing.
It's like 78% of Americans.
Yeah. Only like 11% want like actual like harm to happen to women and them to go to jail or whatever. Like it's a this much. But yeah, like if you were to take our politicians to represent us, that wouldn't be true. Because they're not representing us at all. The Democrats raised like I think it's like $80 million in campaign donations since the decision too. Like,
Planned Parenthood made like $100 million leading up to the decision.
Well, they actually do something.
I know, but you would think that
Nancy Pelosi doesn't really.
You have much. Kamala Harris out there saying we need to donate right now. We need to go out and vote, and it's like, well, fuck you. We did vote. Mm-hmm. And we voted in the past. Yeah. And we've had the House, and we've had the Senate, and we've had these majorities, and nobody did shit. We just left that up. What is a poker chip that we could play in case people started
it got out like
switching sides.
Disinterested voters. Like, yeah, I'll vote as long as it protects, my right to not have like 10 kids.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, that I can't afford.
This is why you have to vote for the Democrats. It's
wildly screwed up because like having a kid in this country is not free. Like it's we're not Sweden or something. Like it's like $20,000 to like $1 million to have a kid.
Which how crazy
is that?
Especially if they're like
premature. Yeah.
If it's a preemie,
you're screwed. You might as well just file for bankruptcy while you're like, in the hospital. You're done. It's over. Yeah. It's insane. I'm pissed, but what can I do? Just one little person.
What is your stance on abortion? Are you pro 100% at any point in time?
I have read women's stories of like actual like late term stuff, and it's not like, oh, I don't feel like it. It's like I'm gonna die, or this child is literally dead inside me, and I can't, like, my uterus is going septic. Like so it's like, who am I to say that you need to suffer and maybe go septic because I have a feeling about it or something? Like, I don't think anyone would be doing that unless they felt like they were kind of pushed up against a wall. I don't know. I don't feel like it's any of my business. It's not my body.
That's kind of how it should
Someone
be,
else's body. Yeah.
Why? I don't get why people care.
I don't either.
I don't get why
it's
people
none
care.
of your business. Like, I don't get it. It feels like it's just like a control thing for sure.
I've heard conspiratorially that it's a way to keep people in poverty. Is that
I feel
it's
that
an
for
economic
sure.
pressure.
Yeah, totally. Because you are way less likely to fight back too if you have like 3 kids to feed. You really need that, server
you can't
job.
be socially active.
No.
I mean, if you really wanted to go into it, what are you gonna? You got 3 kids
strike.
to take care of. Yeah, you're not gonna go do anything.
Yeah, go get back to work. Yeah,
but
I
it
totally
seems
think
weird.
It's a
Why
poverty
do
control
you
thing.
care? Why do you care what somebody else does?
Yeah, I mean, I have some family members that are very, very pro-life, and it is kind of bizarre.
Great branding though. Pro-life sounds way better than pro-choice. Pro-life sounds like, I'm going to support you and help you.
Yeah, but like once you got the baby, I don't give a shit about you.
It's weird. Yeah. Pro-life was the solid choice.
It was.
Democrats should have swung for that. Branding. We're pro-life.
Pro-life choices.
Yeah, pro-life choices. We're just going to leave out the choices and say pro-life.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm very scared about that personally. I feel grateful to be in California, but it also seems like a temporary thing because the Supreme Court did say that they're going after a bunch of things that we hold dear, like contraception is on the list of the hit list, which I think is insane. It's like you're gonna be against abortion and also against contraception. Like it's really just you want women like pregnant and very sad at home. I don't understand. But also like same-sex marriage and all the other, they're on the hit list too, which is crazy. Yeah, Supreme Court's not a very democratic institution, I don't think. We don't elect them.
It's an interesting concept, right? And you could be on there for life.
Like, you can't even get fired? Like, come on.
You get to be on there for life.
Pretty cush.
You get to be on there for life.
And
talk about job security.
Yeah, and like say
I would take that job. 100%.
And they lied. Like they said that that was settled law.
Well, here's the interesting point from the Supreme Court point of view is that they do have the argument that in the Constitution there's no reference to abortion, right? Like if they
but if they're gonna say that, there's also no reference to women having the right to vote or to black people having any
amendment?
Rights at all.
I believe.
Yeah,
both
later. Yeah, but not in the original.
No, but I think if you amended it, the problem is nobody amended anything about abortion.
Yeah, well, the Constitution's wildly difficult to amend. Jefferson thought we should restart every 19 years. Start over.
Well, there's the argument that it's kind of weird that we just don't add more shit to it.
Yeah.
That it's so hard.
Or that I never got a vote on what my Constitution was going to look like. Did you? I don't remember that.
No, but it's been... I would definitely take this one over some... Like, if I had to pick a country to be born into, I might pick this one.
Dude, no way. No way. Where would you go? I would pick, Norway or, France or something.
Yeah.
Most Nordic countries.
Even if you work at, there.
Burger King or something, you get, paid, $22 an hour. You get benefits. You get 6 weeks vacation.
Is mad expensive. That $22 an hour sounds great.
It's mad expensive here.
I know. Inflation doesn't really help the cause, right? But it's weird. You'd
really pick the U.S. out of all the countries.
Well, if you would you pick the U.S. over Saudi Arabia?
Yeah. I'm a woman.
That's why I was like, wait, there's a little hesitation there.
Well, it's like...
But here's the thing. The Nordic countries, you can make an argument. I wouldn't pick the UK. People like to say the UK, but they have a monarch. You have a fucking queen, and you're gonna shit on the US. What? That's true. The healthcare thing is so weird for the US. I don't get why
we're the only one.
Pharma,
we're industry.
Big pharma. It's just got so much money.
Big daddy industry.
But yeah, I would pick the US because I'm a big believer in the ideals behind. I don't think we reach all those ideals. I think that we fall short for sure. But I like to think of where we could go. And I look back on how far we've come in my lifetime. And I think that someday we'll get there. Or at least we'll continue to get closer. And I think that's why I would pick the US time and time again.
I like that idea.
Right?
I like your spirit.
I think I'm not jaded enough, right? So I've gotten that a couple times. I haven't been burned by the world enough times.
Well, I mean, I am only jaded as far as U.S. law goes, I guess. Because I'm hopeful in a lot of... There are countries, I think, doing a better job than we are in a lot of ways. So it makes it seem possible to do a better job. Like designing livable communities, providing healthcare, providing free education. That'd be pretty cool. We don't have any of that. We don't even have paid sick leave guaranteed. Or maternity or paternity leave. We got a lot, like, we have such a slog to go through, which is such a drag. Like, there's so many countries that I feel like have more humane policies already in existence, and we'd have to, like, fight to the death for them here, which is just, like, I don't have energy for that. Yeah, how I feel sometimes.
Well, and with settled issues like abortion, right? It's hard to look towards what we can be when we're still fighting over things we thought we had settled.
Yeah. It just feels like we're in
friction.
Like, there's no movement. We're just like fighting over, and it's like you can't really win in the abortion argument either, because it's like I'm not going to convince someone that that's not like murder, because it is like a death and that's very sad, but like it's not my body. It's not up to me to decide what lives in it. Like, you can't even force someone to donate an organ if someone's dying. Like, even if that would save little Jimmy, like, no one is forced to save little Jimmy. That's
an
bodily
interesting
autonomy.
Point. Right, you can choose not to be an organ donor.
Yeah.
Because it's
just
the stuff inside
throw that
your
meat
body.
away, you know? Like, it's not relevant anymore. I don't know.
Like, as opposed to, let's butcher it up.
Yeah, I mean...
Wow.
I mean, I've heard that argument a lot, that we give corpses more autonomy than women.
You know what bothers me?
What?
This is going to be good. What bothers me about the abortion, and this is more my gripe with the left, is that it seems like men just get lumped into that. It's men need to keep their hands off women's bodies. And I'm over here like, fuck, what are we talking about? I know way more men that are pro-abortion than are anti. Like, there's this weird stigma of people saying it's men doing this, and it's like there's fucking women on the Supreme Court that voted against abortion.
Understand that, but also I've argued with plenty of men that are very anti-choice and that have said some choice words to me about that, and especially like, okay, after Roe v. Wade was announced, like incel Twitter and.
Are you on? I'm not on Twitter.
Oh, I'm on Twitter. Yeah,
I try not to.
I
fuck
look,
with
and it makes
media.
my heart sink into the ground. But like people were like, dudes were so smug. They were so smug, and so like so many comments were like, "Just keep your legs closed, you slut." Like that kind of Yeah,
but see, I hear that, and I think that guy is just not having sex. That guy's not. He's not getting any girls.
Well,
that guy's that's
like,
an incel.
It almost just seems like a jealousy thing, man. Like. Sorry, you're not getting any. Just chill out.
I think I'm being facetious to an extent.
Yeah,
with
me
it.
too.
I mean, it's not obviously there are men that are anti-abortion, but it's just when you group everybody. I'm just mad because it's fucking. I don't want to be grouped in with those people that are anti-abortion. So that's my little.
Well, I appreciate that,
but
you're
it's
not.
And I think it's easier to say that because if you start saying, "Oh, there are women that are anti-abortion," that gets a little dicey too. Because it's like, what? Why?
I mean, I know some women that are anti-abortion.
That's gotta be weird.
Yeah, it sucks. They're no fun. They're really mean, actually.
Is their argument just that it's a life? It's a little life.
Abortion stops a beating heart. It's one of my.
So does a bullet.
Yeah.
And they're not anti-war most of the time.
No.
Which is, I always find it interesting, is that you're cool sending 18-year-olds to go die.
Yeah.
And that's not.
It's the idea of a human life, not an actual one, that matters to them, I think. Because they're also like, they don't really care about like school shootings and stuff in the same way.
Well, I don't know. That's a bold statement. That's a bold statement. You just took it to 100, right? I'm over here like, yeah, they don't care about sending, soldiers off to war. And you're like, yeah, they don't care if children die either. And I was like, Jesus.
Well, okay, an 18-year-old is still a child. I have a teen brother. He's a child.
Yeah,
I can't even picture him with holding a gun.
I don't think you can say that the people that are anti-abortion also are like pro-school shooting. That's kind of that's a little wild. Shooting.
It's they call it like a false flag operation or something that's like pretend.
I think that's a conspiracy thing. Yeah, there are a lot of people that think that was big with Sandy Hook, right? They thought it was a government.
Alex Jones got actually finally in trouble for
the problem Oh yeah, he's getting sued for a
Yeah.
lot of money.
Yeah, because he's a jerk.
The problem is, Uvalde was such a mess that it lends itself to that. The fact that they waited outside for over an
and they
hour.
lied. They said that they didn't.
Multiple times.
Yeah.
Which time? When they lied about the teacher leaving the back door open? When they lied about the security officer
That they lied that
stopping
they
the
even
guy?
tried to go into the room?
That there was even a security officer there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the door wasn't even locked.
Mm-hmm.
They then lied and said,
try.
oh, the door was locked. We tried to open it. It wasn't even fucking locked. And then they were like, oh, we didn't have the key for the door. They had all the keys. I mean, what? You hear that and it's like, fuck, man. I get why people are like, okay, seems a little fishy.
Yeah, well, that's part of why I went there.
You went
like,
there?
Well, because people. No, I'm saying
okay,
that's part of why
say, well,
you were
this is
like
gonna
you
be-
went there. Like that's part of why I said what I said because it's
I
like.
thought you said you
No,
meant
I
you went
didn't-
to Uvalde. And I was
No,
like,
I didn't
what
go to
the
Uvalde.
fuck was that
I've never
like?
been. I've been like through Texas one time in my life. I don't know, man. But like, they. The reason I said they don't really care is because they don't. Because they can hear something like that and still say that it's like some sort of Democrat plot to take our guns away or whatever. And
I think it's multifaceted. I think that is a very small segment of the group that does believe it's a false flag. The gun thing gets dicey because people say the argument against it is we're not trying to take away guns.
Mhm.
We're just trying to limit who can get guns and we're trying to limit, the access to certain types of guns. And the argument against that is that's not true. You guys, it's going to start here and it's going to progress, which there's unfortunately or fortunately there is validity to that too, because you had the Philadelphia mayor come out a couple days ago and say, I want us to take everybody's gun. And this is the mayor of Philadelphia saying that. We need to take everybody's guns. We need to be more like Canada. And the right hears that and thinks, fuck, they are trying to take guns. It's like there's no middle ground for the sane person anymore. That's the problem. There's no middle ground of, can't we just be reasonable with each other? And
well, I mean, it's another spot where it's like it feels like progress is impossible when like it's just like
friction.
Because I don't want to take a man's 100-gun arsenal away if he's just gonna be hella mad and shoot me about it. Like that's not really what I want. But also like don't want to have a culture where that is like a normal thing to just collect a stockpile and then maybe use it one day on.
Have you ever been shooting?
Yeah, I have.
Do you enjoy
I've been
it?
to like a gun range. Yeah.
Been like the way you said that made me think, have you been to a gun range?
Solemnly swear. I've shot a gun. Yes. It was fine. I
Didn't do
wasn't
anything
like
for you.
I wasn't like, oh, I need one of these at home. I don't I think I don't know. Guns are a trip and I don't know the answer to all that. I think that for starters it'd be cool if we made this country a little easier to live in for people so they didn't feel so desperate to leave it and take some people with them.
That's the big thing. I think we need to start focusing on why people are doing these things. Because after talking to you for a little bit, I don't feel like you would go shoot up a school. I think that's a pretty safe assumption.
If I ever wanted to use a gun on someone, it'd probably just be myself and I would leave. Like I don't need to take other people out too. But I do get I had this a high thought one time where it was like, how do you best spread like a message? And I was thinking about people that spread a message through, shooting up a school. And it's like, it does seem like that is disseminating something like that to the point that like we're talking about it right now. And, we all know the name Uvalde now. And like, I don't know the dude's name though, which is kind of cool.
Well, that's another factor. Is there's the fame aspect.
Yeah,
right? That's what a lot of these have come out to be. Is it's almost like a copycat killing in the sense that these are people who live in darkness, and this is their one way of getting out there.
Yeah, or they feel so unheard
everywhere
in their day-to-day life that it's like, well, this
or
guy
bullied. We can talk about that too.
Yeah, I don't know.
And you can't even abort them now. You just gotta pop them out.
I couldn't hear you at first. I thought you said something about boredom, and then you said abort them, and you think I went
that
there.
That should be the best case for being pro-abortion, right?
Is to abort the
maybe
murder
that
boys.
Kid's gonna be a serial killer someday.
Or maybe he cures cancer or whatever they say. I don't know.
That is another good argument, right? What if you're aborting the next Einstein?
Well, the next Einstein that never got to go to school anyway because his parents lived in poverty and he had to start working at Burger King at 15. Like,
And that's the thing, right? Is do you really want these people that have 5, 6 kids and they're living in poverty to be
yeah,
forced to have a seventh?
I
To
think
be
like
forced to
the
have an eighth?
McConnell types do want that, and that like certain politicians have come out and said like, and even okay, Elon Musk said like a week ago or not even that like, oh, got to do your part for the underpopulation problem, like have more kids was like his message
He
in
just had twins too.
2022.
He's out here.
Yeah, dirty twins too. Yeah. With like some
I think it was his employee.
executive or
Yeah.
something. Yeah. Anyway.
That's a wild
yeah,
guy.
he came out and said that we have an underpopulation problem. Because why? Like,
Well, I think his argument is that the repopulation rate is lower, right? So we're losing more people than we're reproducing.
yeah, but we already have a megaton of people. We could just let in
Megaton.
more
I like that.
immigrants. You know, I feel like it's kind of like an anti-immigrant sentiment still.
To have more kids?
Well, it's to say we're losing population. There's plenty of people we could just let them in if we're like short on workers. We've done that before. Let in some Irish, let in some Italians, let in some Polish. Like, but it's like, not Mexicans. Or like that, it turns into some weird race thing. I think, and that's part of where I don't like it. You just let people in.
Open borders.
There are workers. Well, if we need more workers, like you don't need to force some lady to have like 10 kids. You can just let a dude that already exists in to work. Why not? If we're so underpopulated, if that's the real fear, or if it's some sort of like,
even if you let in workers, yes, you have people to do the jobs. I don't think it's a job shortage. I think it's a growth rate shortage.
Yeah,
because he's thinking we need to colonize Mars, and we're gonna need more people to do that.
Yeah, throw some bodies at it and let them die. Like it's.
Would you go to Mars?
No, I would not go to Mars.
I would go.
There's a perfectly beautiful
100%.
planet here. You're gonna go.
You wouldn't want to go just see it. Just if it's one-way trip, that could get a little dicey.
Dude, it would take a while.
I think it's 3 years, 3.5 years.
Yeah. And
Maybe
then
I might have just made that up.
Go back? Yeah, I believed you.
I know. You just
said it with like barely enough confidence.
I would want to see it.
Yeah, I think a lot of dudes would.
You don't think girls would want to go? It's just gonna be a planet of dudes.
I think
Mars is for the men.
I don't know. I just like Earth too much, man. There's so much I haven't gotten to see here.
I think we're gonna.
It's like, I'm done with this one.
I think we're gonna hit a point where we might have to leave because we fucked it up so much.
But that's insane that that's even a possibility because Mars is far less inhabitable than here, and if we invested that kind of energy here, when there's still a lot to fight for, like there's forest right outside, like there's some real nice soil that we don't have to like make it up. It already exists. Like we have plenty to save. There's a lot left. I don't know. I think it's just kind of like let's just call it. Screw this place. Like that's just like kind of absurd. This is our home. I don't know. That's how I feel.
You don't think we should do nothing about it?
I think. Yeah, I guess I am saying we should do nothing about that, about leaving on some level.
But do something for the Earth.
When you have the energy, after you've had
some time to do a little break.
Yeah, take a little break.
I like that. I was trying to trip you up there a little bit. I just wanted to see what you were going to say.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, did you ever see Seaspiracy on Netflix?
I heard people talk about it. I haven't seen it.
It's an interesting documentary.
It
just talks about all of the pollution in the ocean. Yeah.
Yeah. But why not just clean it?
It's easier said than done.
So
I think
is colonizing Mars.
Yes. Yeah, it can be done. It definitely could be done. I think there's there's an aurora around going to Mars, right? It's new. It's something interesting. Cleaning up all of the microplastics and the fishing nets and all of that in the ocean is a lot less exciting for people.
Yeah, no, I think that's true.
Which is unfortunate.
Yeah, all those spacey video games.
Yeah, the video games are the problem.
Hey, I remember.
Do you play video games?
I used to. I played Mass Effect a lot. Yeah, which is a very spacey one. I never played
Mass Effect.
It's a good one.
Yeah?
It's like an open story space game. It's very fun.
I heard good things. I just never played it.
That made me think space travel would be pretty cool. But we're not even close to that level of like like any of the sci-fi imagination
Yeah, we're not
of,
at
like,
Star Trek yet.
Galaxies. We're just like hopping from our close planets and like, woo, it's cool. I mean, it is, but it's not like light years. I don't know. I feel like, get our priorities in order here, man. Like, Earth's dying. It's still alive though. Like,
can still be saved.
Yeah, I don't think it's too late. I think if we tone down the whole like infinite growth thing, that could help. Like, maybe you don't need 10 kids or 4. Maybe just 1.
Do you think that we should bring down the population a little bit?
I think so. I mean,
we're what, 7 billion people?
Almost 8. Yeah. It's damn near 8 billion people. And I think it's not that we should like intentionally bring down the population. I just feel like we should let people decide for themselves. Like, literally let me decide. Do I want 10 kids or none? Personally, right now, I don't want any, because in this country, that sounds like a nightmare. Like, childcare and the cost of formula and the cost of diapers and the cost of the whole thing is just like not for me. Maybe if I was in Sweden or something and it was like pretty cush. But like, let me decide. And then if some other chick wants 5 kids, whatever. But if there's a lot of people that don't want to spend their entire life rearing children, let them, like, just let people decide. And then if population goes down, that's a natural result of giving people autonomy. And how is that bad? Like, I don't really see how that's bad, other than for some guys like stock portfolio where he's like, well, I need more worker slaves. Like, I don't know, man. I'm all about agency and freedom in a real way, where it's like, let me decide, please, for the love of God, please.
Well, you're kind of in a unique position for that because you are self-employed, right?
Yeah.
Like, you've kind of set yourself up in this way where you can really manage your agency more than most people can.
Yeah, and all I want is more of it.
It's
like,
addicting.
Once you get a taste of it,
yeah.
It's like, man, going to work at like Kohl's or something sounds truly hellish. I don't know if I could at this point bring myself to do it unless there was some real desperation involved. Yeah, and that's part of why I feel like I don't want to support things like Amazon or things where, like, if I go into a place and it feels like I would never, ever, ever want to work here, then, like, should I be supporting that? I feel less good about that, which is kind of, like, annoying because there's a lot of places that I'm like, ugh, screw this. I wouldn't want to work here. So, makes me less fun than just, like, ordering on Amazon a whole party's worth of stuff.
I mean, Amazon's pretty great to order stuff. I will give them that. They've got a lot of shit.
I know they do. But how long does the joy that the purchase brings you last? You get your
I got most of this stuff off of Amazon, I'm gonna be honest.
I believe you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you get the sign? Or did you have
off
to,
of Amazon?
Off of Amazon. Even the custom sign?
Even the sign. Amazon's pretty great. I don't want to promote. I'm not going to give them a free plug or anything, but they don't need me. Amazon's pretty great. Amazon, I mean,
they don't need
work-wise,
you. Sure.
Yeah, they don't need me. Work-wise, not. But you have to pick your battles, right? Because where do you draw the line? I mean, child slavery is pretty rough, and we know that goes into the making of phones and the batteries for these electric cars. But it's like, electric cars might be better for the environment. So do we say fuck those kids? We're just gonna sacrifice them for the greater good?
We could also focus on making our communities like more walkable and bikeable, and like focus on public transit instead of, do you ride the public bus a lot? F-350 super cab. Well, part of why I don't is because it stops so freaking early.
Okay,
I have before. Say, yeah. There have been times where I have, especially if it's like for an event where I can go, because I really don't drink and drive. Not my.
That's good. That's a good thing to say.
Thing. I would love.
I'd be alarmed if you were like, I love drinking and driving. That is my. No, I love doing it on a Friday night after work.
I really wish the buses ran until like 2 a.m. I think that'd be sweet, because then you could go like bar hopping and then just take a bus home instead of having to like Uber or cab it home. That'd be sweet. Would you, or would you pay like $30 to take an Uber?
I would take an Uber. I'm kind of scarred with public transit.
$2, dude.
I know, but when I was a kid,
mm-hmm.
I rode the public bus one time with a buddy of mine. It was my first and last time.
Mm-hmm.
In the States, at least. I've ridden public transportation in Mexico a lot, and that's a different ballgame. But this girl shit herself on the bus, and it was a traumatic experience for me. And I was like, I don't think I need the bus after this, and so I never really got back.
Well,
on the bus.
I've ridden buses numerous times and have
probably
not
never
seen
happened.
someone shit themselves.
It was a traumatic experience.
Yeah, I was in as part of flexibility. I got to go to Maui for a few weeks and stay in some hostels, and I used the public transit there to get to and from like the cities because it was like $2 versus like $40 or something, and so the math was just there, man. Like that was
most
great.
of the time it is.
Yeah,
it's always cheaper.
Yeah, and it was like relaxing, and I got to just like look at the views and chill and read a book, and it was great. I would do that again.
I think if we maintained public transport and made it better, I think more people would use that because it's cheaper.
Yeah, it's way cheaper, and it could actually it could be free, but we don't like that word. Because like already I was reading that 90% of the fees are taxpayer paid anyway. So it's literally just like 10% or less that are like
starting to sound like a dirty communist.
Well, social programs, man. Like why not? We're already paying most of the price. It's just we don't want to make it sound 90%. Free. Yeah. Yeah. And so it's just kind of like a little like make them pay something. Yeah. But it's like the people that would use it the most are the ones where $2 or $3 really hurts. And so like what reason do we have other than like kind of making people suffer a little bit or like to discourage them? I don't know. I would totally ride it. Like I would ride it more if it was free too. I don't know. Having to like deal with like the change or whatever kind of sucks. But anyway, I don't know, man. Yeah. What time is it
public
anyway?
Transport. It's I don't even have a clock in here. It's already 5:15.
Oh, wow.
We can wrap this up if you want.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
You want to wrap this up?
Yeah. I'm getting sweaty in here, man.
I know, it's warm. I'm going to work on that outdoor idea.
You like a fan. But yeah, I like the outdoor idea.
Yeah, I think
that'd be cute.
Nice sunny day like this.
A little outdoor podcast.
Next time, that's what we're going to do. Lamps? Do you want to plug where people can find you? The Do Nothing Society?
Yeah. There's a website. It's thedonothingsociety.org or .com. I bought both because it's not much money. And there's also the Do Nothing Society Instagram. And I even made it a Facebook page, but I don't like Facebook. I hate Facebook.
That's an Amazon.
Well, I mean, yeah, I wouldn't even have Instagram, but it's great for getting people. I mean, like, that's how.
I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. I wouldn't use them if I didn't have a podcast.
Yeah, I hate it, but it's been a fun project, and it's open to anyone, literally anyone, as long as they're not a jerk. Yeah. Okay, check it out, people. The Do Nothing Society, and it's that across all platforms. Mm-hmm. Okay. Cool. Awesome. Thanks. Well, thank you. Yeah, this was a blast. Yeah, it was fun talking to you, man. Yeah. Thanks, guys.